Podcast the Musical. Yay!
Hi!
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Josh.
And we host Podcast the Musical, which is a podcast where we talk about musical episodes of TV shows that are normally not musical and sometimes shouldn't ever be musical.
Yeah, oh man.
Today we are reviewing the musical episode of Seventh Heaven, which is entitled Red Sox. It is season 9, episode 15. We have things to say.
Yeah. That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, we also, I think, in a way, have no words.
Yeah. Yep. But lots of feelings. Lots of
incommunicable feelings.
Yeah, it's true, yes. Very incommunicable. Like, the prevailing feeling that I had watching this episode was just a strong desire to punch everything.
Yeah, I'm surprised anything around you is intact.
It's not. I sit amidst the tattered remains of my former life.
Wow. Do you still have a child?
No, they left.
Oh, that's
all that niceties
terrible.
Before was just that for show. Just for you. They left me because this episode was so bad. That's how bad this is.
It ruined
my marriage.
All right, so what we're going to look forward to in this podcast is more of these hyperbolic statements about this.
We say it's hyperbole, but I don't know if it's quite that hyperbolic.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Okay, so if you haven't yet watched this episode and you are just like listening to this and you don't really care, continue not caring because if you were to... Here's the thing. It's so bad, but it's not bad in the way where it's enjoyable to watch because it's so bad.
Right.
It's boring.
It is boring. It's not the movie The Room or Troll 2 or like campy old television shows like I don't know, The Dukes of Hazzard or
bad CGI like Xena. Things you can laugh at, you know? It's just like you sit there and you want to fall asleep, but then you're like everyone's too out of tune for me to fall asleep.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, watching it was like, I want to fall asleep, especially since I finished it at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But like, I was like, I want to fall asleep, but I can't because I have a responsibility to watch it. I was tied down by my responsibility for this podcast to actually watch the whole thing. So
don't waste your time. Just listen to us,
seriously, don't waste your
it,
time.
And
I would say pull up a song or two on YouTube and then just get a taste.
Here, so
just this is taste.
I recorded this. This is the first song. So we'll just listen to this. This is what it is. This was the first song that came in that gave you a taste of what you were in for the rest of the episode.
Love is sweeping the country. Waves are hugging the shore. All the sexes from Maine to Texas have never known such love before.
It's so bad. Oh my goodness.
Could you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it, and I do not thank you. It's not appreciated.
Sorry to subject you to that again.
I found myself, like, as soon as it started, I put my elbow on my desk and my head in my hand, and it just... And
you remembered when your wife walked out on you.
Thing. Yes. This is the moment. This is the moment in every hero's story where he hits rock bottom and everything is taken away from him. I have to climb from the ashes of my ruin to hit the climax of my story. And I think it's going to be when I drink myself to a point of not being able to remember this episode anymore.
Yes. I am working on that aspect of that right now.
It is 10 a.m. for me, so me too.
What are you eating? What are you getting drunk on?
It's not that big. It's pomegranate soju.
You're drinking soju right now?
Yeah, but it's cut with, like, a ton of sparkling water.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's like 13%. It's like lower than a standard glass of red wine.
Did I tell you that when I went through customs, U.S. customs, I'm on the way back, the guy who like checked my passport was like, "So did you have soju?" I was like, "Yes, I will never do that again." Nope.
Yep. Nope. It's one of those things you got to experience just once, but then.
Well, you can experience more than once. I just had too much. Also, that with other things.
Yep. That was a good night.
It was a good night. It was a bad next morning.
Yeah, it was indeed.
But we digress.
We digress.
We were in Korea together, everybody. So,
yeah.
And remember how we said we were going to record like 7 podcasts?
Yep, we recorded one.
One happened.
I mean, to be fair, we spent about half the time on trains or in different cities, so.
Yeah, we weren't just like sitting in your living room together, like watching
right. Well,
Bob's
partially
Burgers.
because I don't have a living room.
Yeah, that's a thing.
But we did watch a couple episodes of Bob's Burgers, and I think I may have turned your opinion slightly.
Yeah, I watched it the other night by myself.
Oh, good.
I like the episodes better where they focus on the not Bob characters, like
the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, definitely. There are parts of Bob that are a little hard, like they're just not as good. But
yeah, it's fine. It's funny to follow a storyline that follows him, but it's just not as funny as
right.
Anything Kristen Shaw is doing.
Oh my goodness, she is so funny. Hell hath no fury like I do, Logan.
Yeah, I watched that episode too.
It's so good. I love Bob's Burgers. This is going to be our metric for how terrible something is.
Okay.
How many times we talk about something else.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about soju and Bob's Burgers. Mm-hmm. So that's 2.
Yes.
I should keep track.
Yeah. Okay. So experience with Seventh Heaven, I have minimal experience. I knew it was a thing, and like I grew up like going to church, and like church was a deal.
Yeah.
And so everyone was about this show, you know, because it was like the good family show that was on TV.
Right. The whole pitch, and I read this, like the woman who pitched the show, the showrunner and main writer, basically this was kind of a fake pitch for her to meet Aaron Spelling, the producer, right? And so this was just a pitch to kind of get her into the door, almost, but then he liked it. And the pitch and it was by far her most successful pitch of that meeting, which is saying something, apparently. Because she was still a writer on Mad About You for this, at this point.
Uh-huh.
So her pitch was a drama about a functional family.
Ooh. Edgy.
Yeah. And that really comes into play because the drama points, the points of contention, the points of conflict in this episode are friggin' red socks, dirty dishes, and going to work.
Yeah.
Oh, and not calling
and premarital sex.
Oh my goodness, that was so stupid.
I feel like that is a thing because they worked it into 2 storylines in this episode.
Right?
And
right?
I have a feeling that that's a thing that they work in as often as possible.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the kids are talking about sex all the time, and none of the married people are having any.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, hilarious sitcom trope. Not a real life thing. Like, at least in my experience.
Don't set this up so you can brag about your sex life. Don't do that.
I'm not
That's
saying.
not
I'm
what
not
this
saying
podcast.
that. No, I'm not saying,
is. It is.
It's not.
You're like, oh, the people that I don't know is what you said. It's what you said. You said.
This is I'm
trying to
saying,
shame you. Because shame is a thing that happens in this episode too.
It happens a lot. I was speaking like not just me and my life. I mean,
no,
like
talking
talking with other married couples and things.
I'm giving you a hard time.
good job you're doing of it too. But I agree. It seems like these points of contention and conflict in the show are not real things. I mean,
Yeah. And I don't know if that's just this episode, because I feel like people have said, even people who like the show when it was on, have said, like, the conflicts that they had to handle were a little more real earlier on, because this is season 9.
It's true.
This thing went 10 seasons.
Which, this is the show to knock the family drama record holders out of their slot. Because previously, the longest running family shows were, I mean, like, and a show centered around a family is what I mean, were Little House on the Prairie and The Waltons.
Wow, long
So that tells
ago.
you how far. Like, they both went 9 seasons, I think.
And this was WB's, like, biggest ratings getter.
It was their first show.
They couldn't even get rid of it when they probably knew it was time to get rid of it, because it still drew so many ratings. So many ratings?
Right.
Is that how you talk about that? It's
so
viewers?
much ratings. This was one of several WB premieres. So, like, when the WB came out as a network, this was one of the shows that they premiered. And this was the only one to go to a second season.
Wow.
All of the other ones didn't make it to a second season, which tells me something. Maybe it doesn't. I mean, Firefly got canceled after 1 season, but whatever. Sorry, Space Cowboys.
But I feel like because of that, I don't quite understand that this is a WB show. You know? Doesn't that feel weird? I feel like WB doesn't have any other, like, really family-friendly shows. Didn't when they were WB.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if maybe that opinion is kind of colored by the CW stuff now. You know?
Maybe. I don't know. I think of the WB and I think of Sister Sister. I mean, that was family-friendly, but it was, like, cool, you know?
I don't remember that. Is that the one with
Sister Sister? You didn't have cable. It was
cable.
Tia and Tamara Mowry.
Oh, yes. No, I watched that. Some of it,
Yep.
I think. At, like, my grandma's house.
I watched... Oh, Grandma had cable. Aw.
Yep. So, yeah, definitely. Season 9, scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as drama is concerned.
Yeah, and, like, seemingly, I feel like... Maybe just because I feel like this show has always been preachy, but maybe it wasn't before. Maybe it was more genuine before. But I feel like scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as plots to find, but also rehashing probably a plot that it has applied many times with the whole, like, are you gonna have sex before you're married? It's not very good idea. Have you talked to the man upstairs?
Ugh.
But anyway, okay, so I had seen, when this show was on... I think I saw, like, 1 episode. And I don't want to talk about that episode because it was a very Islam-shaming episode.
Yeah.
I was telling you a little bit about it earlier. So
yeah,
that's kind of the tone that I got from the show.
Yeah.
But I did watch a clip where the dad catches one of the kids, finds a joint in the house. And then sits all the kids down from, like, age, like, 11 to, like, the oldest kid who was supposed to be, like, I don't know, 16 or 17. I'm like, you think the 11-year-old? Out of all those kids, you think it's the 11-year-old possibly? Like, you want him in on this meeting? Okay. And it was, like, very after-school special, but with some drama of, like, some believable drama of, like, people being mad at each other for lying and stuff that was kind of believable. So maybe at one point this show was sort of genuine.
Yeah, not in season 9. Well, they went to season 10, and then after the season finale, the series finale of season 10, it was picked up for another season. They were like, that...
Really?
That didn't become the last episode. It turned into... They had more. It was...
No, stop. Quit
I know.
while you're behind.
Yeah. Oof. Sorry, you were going to ask me a question. What was
I was
the question?
going to ask you, what is your experience with the show before watching this episode?
Before watching this episode, I was aware of the show as a thing. But I don't know, like, when this was on, what was I watching? I was watching, what were the years of this show? Do you remember when it came out?
This episode came out in 2005, but that's all I looked up.
Okay, well, so it came out in 1996, right? So I was 9 years old when it came out.
Wow!
I was watching the animated Batman and Spider-Man and Transformers, things with plot.
You mean just comic book shows? That's all you were watching. You were watching cartoons. I mean, you were 9 years old.
I was watching cartoons, and we
Don't try and
did a lot
compare
of
the
movies.
two.
You're right. The animated Batman is far and away better story-wise than this. Batman the Animated Series is an incredible show. It has one of the most perfect intros of any show ever. It's so good. I could talk about Batman the Animated Series.
You don't like, where can you go?
I know where you can go.
The answer is home.
No, the answer is up your own butt. It's so stupid. No, the 1992 Batman the Animated Series with Kevin Conroy is a masterpiece of television. It's so good. And I could talk about it for hours. But I'm not going to. But that's also another point in talking about
what's
something
our tally?
Else. We're up to 4.
Great.
Yeah, so I don't know. I wasn't watching these kinds of shows at all, really. I mean, like, I watched some of the semi-drama-y stuff on, like, the Disney Channel when we would go to my grandparents' house or whatever. So stuff like Even Stevens, I guess, that was a little later, but, stuff like that. And we talked about Smart Guy. I watched Smart Guy when it was out. I watched the other show about that kid who was a teenage spy. Maybe that was when I was in middle school.
Alex Mack? Who was a teenage spy?
Alex Mack.
Wait.
The guy? The black guy?
Are you thinking about the famous Jet Jackson? He played He was an actor playing a spy.
I thought he was a real spy.
No.
Oh. That's disappointing.
It was like a meta show about a kid who was an actor as like a spy on TV, and then he was like, for some reason, the kid is like, let's move production to North Carolina, and everyone's like, okay.
Right. Like, and then for some reason, I thought it went meta even further, and he was also an actual spy.
No.
Oh, well, never mind.
You were making up the story in your mind.
I guess I want to make it better than it actually was, and it had the that's all I remember about it. And then also his dumb sidekick always wore, and this was a major plot point for one of the episodes, wore his shirt with one shirt tail tucked in.
Yes. Well, one shirt front tail. I do remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. That guy died recently. Jet Jackson, the guy who played Jet
Jackson.
I
know.
I was really sad. It was like my childhood.
I know. It was a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Also, I was just sad for the guy. But anyway.
Anywho, that brings us up to 5.
Da-ding! So, neither of us very much experience with this show. So, starting out, not having that great of an opinion, too, right? Like, thinking it's a really sort of...
pandering.
Yeah, preachy, pandering, corny Christian show.
Right.
Not a great platform to start out with, but I would argue if we started out with a high platform of the show, we would still be very disappointed. So,
oh yes, very much so.
Let's not delay the inevitable and get into this piece of crap.
Yep.
So, you listened to that little clip of the singing, and that is what it was. I mean, that was some of the best singing. The main guy gives some of the best singing, and it's...
I would say he was second best.
Sloppy. Who was best to you?
The kid from Heroes in the baseball thing.
Maybe.
I would say he was better. I think he was I think he was trying to add a weird affectation.
Yes, I don't like
to his voice.
Yeah,
I know you don't, and I think I am more okay with them than you, but still not a lot. I still dislike it. It's my highest point of contention of why I hate country music so much. Like, the number one is the twangy affectation. Number two is the super dumb, computer generated harmonies in every single song.
And that brings us to 6, right?
Oh yeah, it does. But other than that, I thought he was fine. The main dad guy sang it straight, but it was so like.
No, the pacing was awful. It was
so bad.
So much of this was not the actors' fault, although they did nothing to help it.
Right. I really think that they just had a terrible producer. Yeah. Like when they went into the studio to do ADR for these songs, I think they just had a terrible producer.
I think that my thought is that they blew the budget on the dancers for the baseball scene, and so then they didn't have enough money to hire a freaking vocal coach for these people or a producer to be like, how about you sing it this note? Not this note. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, he starts off singing, and it's not great. I mean, the sound mixing isn't even great. Like, there's some things you can do, I feel, that kind of cover things up, but no. And was this pre-auto-tune 2005? No, it was not. I mean...
It was pre-widespread use, for sure. But seriously, reverb covers a multitude of sins. They didn't even try that. I mean, it was really poorly mixed, just really poorly produced, and really poorly directed. I mean, whoever was their music director is awful. They probably didn't even have one. I mean, all of these songs are actual songs, which blew my mind when I found that out.
Yeah.
I recognized that Accentuate the Positive is a real thing, right? It sounded like a real song. And all the others didn't sound real.
Yeah, it was like, surely this can't be real because it's so drudging and
the lyrics are hackneyed and weird.
Yeah.
And they just felt so watered down. And then when you find out that it's because all of the songs are, 70 plus years old and outside of copyright, and then they could use them for free, which is probably what they did. And probably there are a multitude
they spent the whole budget on the baseball dancers.
On the dancers, yeah. And they could probably very easily find a lot of karaoke backing tracks, like full orchestra karaoke backing tracks, so they didn't have to spend any money on recording new backing tracks.
They were so slow, though. They slowed the songs down for sure. I know that they did.
Yeah,
they had to,
so that the actors could keep up.
I guess the kids in the clip, the little two boys, which
oh gosh,
yeah. I saw some people referring to them as the twin bots, which I think is an apt description, because they just kind of give their lines. We are children. But they, no one coached these kids.
That's true, yeah.
No one coached these kids at all. They were just like, make sure you say this. And they were like,
I don't feel so good. Too many cupcakes. And too much paschetti. Oh. And then cue dog putting paw over eyes. It's so bad. All right, let's talk about it like this. This show is like broccoli.
No, because broccoli can be prepared in a good way.
Right, but it often isn't.
No, it often is. This show is like a banana peel. It is useless. It is not. It's just
except for making fun of in old comedy shows when people slip on it.
Yeah, I mean,
it is only funny accidentally.
But it's not even accidentally funny. That's the thing. I was a little excited to review something so poorly regarded.
Mm-hmm.
But then I couldn't stay awake.
Right. The show itself has a 5 on IMDb, which already is like a 4 everywhere else. 3.5 maybe. And this episode has a 3.2, which is like a 2 or a 1.5 other places. This show, I seriously think, is one of the worst things on television that was scripted.
Yes.
There's some really bad and really useless reality TV shows out there. Yeah. Things that provide absolutely nothing constructive or artistic into the world. They are cotton candy and nothing.
Yep.
But this show...
Yeah, it's dirt.
It's absolutely nothing.
No calories. It's just... I mean, it's a rock. It is a rock, and you can't digest it. In fact, if you swallow it, you will die. So...
Yep. Yeah, we're not birds.
So we gotta keep going.
I know. We haven't even gotten to, like, the summary of the episode yet.
So, okay. I'm trying to do this. Goth daughter, she is goth. Then the boyfriend, the poor boyfriend or husband or whatever, speaks singing. And then I was thinking, like, surely when he speaks saying, has never felt like love before, or whatever he said. Mm-hmm. Surely that's going to be his only line. Surely.
Right.
Surely.
He put in his time. He did his thing. He said his little thing. Yeah. Now he doesn't have to do anything else.
Gets his own damn song. What?
And it's
Whose
awful.
decision was that? The poor guy.
He does this little, like, half grapevine dance.
Oh, man.
Like, two-stepping nonsense while he sings his...
And then he dances with an invisible woman.
Oh, gosh. I've forgotten about that.
I can't, because
he dances with an invisible woman while his real woman is sitting in front of him.
And just making all these faces like, this is so adorable. I can't believe you. And the thing is, I felt so bad for these actors.
Me too, yeah.
They're horrible. They're bad actors. Every last one of them's a bad actor. Shouldn't have been hired. But they were. Been on the show for 9 years, whatever.
Yeah, they're phoning it in by this point.
They're asked, like, you've got to sing a song. We're not going to help you. Just sing it. We'll record you. First take, probably. And then they have to, while they're acting, hear it played back so they can lip sync to it. I felt so bad for them, especially cop boyfriend guy. Mm-hmm. He had to dance to that song being played of him singing.
To the entire cast and crew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the entire friggin' America. Like.
Yeah. Oh. That's gotta be so, I mean, I don't know. It must have been in their contract that they just had to do whatever they were told, because I haven't read anything about anyone complaining.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, but, you know, like we've had that prior, like in Fringe, Joshua Jackson was like, I don't want to sing. I will not sing. Mm-hmm. They were like, okay.
Well, the one brother didn't sing anything. The brother in college.
Yeah. That storyline had no singing, well, except for the mom coming in and being like, God is watching you have sex. But there was also the random side plot of, like, hot couple. They were not members of the family.
I don't understand that.
I don't know what that was about.
I don't either.
Or why we were listening to them at all.
Right. And it's just like, I think it's because he is something special previously. And she is just one facet.
She's just the temptress. She's just supposed to be like...
She comes in and she has one goal. She's a one-note character. Which is the seductress.
Yep, and it's very, again, after school special, just like, this is what you do in this situation, and everything will turn out okay. Your girlfriend will not get mad at you for not wanting to be intimate with her, and she won't feel rejected. She'll be like, okay, we could just talk. Like, then there will be no consequences to you disagreeing on this facet of life, you know?
Well, that conversation that they had was like, well, I've only had one serious girlfriend, and I don't think I'm ready for one now. She's like, what about a casual girlfriend? Well, if you mean casual sex, that's not for me. And then she's like, okay. And then she kisses him fairly passionately, and then they break the kiss, look at each other, sigh, cut away. What happened? Are they dating? Are they not dating? That's the end? They both die in fiery car explosions? Like, that wasn't a resolution. And then the next scene is like the brother that's in college earring, blonde-haired McGee.
Yeah, and I call him Skinhead because he's clearly supposed to be the rebellious one because he has an earring.
And short hair, buzzed hair. Ooh. And he wears a black t-shirt and jeans to bed.
Yes, except that when he gets home from visiting his hometown to not run into his parents, I didn't understand his objective there. But he comes home and he's like in a Mr. Rogers sweater, like straight up.
I know! He walks in, he's got this cardigan on, and he's just like...
Oh man, my girlfriend wanted sex with me because my mom meddled.
Right. Oh man, it's so dumb. And then like when they were kissing at the beginning, like their first scene, by the way, for a wholesome show, this show has a lot more making out than most other shows.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there. When they're making out in his bachelor pad, his dorm room, and she's like, I can't believe how in love we are after only one day. Hey, let's go meet your parents.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
What girl does that? Come on.
What are you talking? What? Anyone does that? That is crazy. That's insane. Red flag number 1, red flag number 2. Any more appendages to hold up red flags?
And he's like, well, let's not go see my parents, but let's go to this very small town that I'm from and have coffee outside of a bookstore and then go home. Like...
It's so weird. So weird. And then they have this fight. Like, his mom shows up and is like, hey, lady, my son's been kind of a slut recently, so just watch out for that. And then sings this song and then leaves, and she's like, hey, how many girlfriends have you had? It's like, just you since January 1st. It's February, you moron. Calendar year.
Gotcha.
I don't want to talk about it. And then they talk about it. And then, like, it cuts like this entire huge conversation that they obviously had, but it doesn't change the like position, like, so it doesn't allow for the passage of time. But then automatically, as soon as they start talking about it, she knows all this huge his entire dating history. It's like, well, Charlize had a baby, and you wanted to marry her, but you didn't. Did you love her? Not like I love you. And then what about Veronica and
you went back
Marlene?
To Charlene and Manisa and
yeah. And it's so stupid. And then they have this fight, and it's like, it's going to be a long drive home. And then they leave. And then the next time we see them, the very next time we see them, she walks in and says, where were we? And he's like, I think we were falling in love. And then they start making out. It's like, that is not where you were. You were fighting last time.
Can I just say that the storyline that you just recounted is the best storyline in the episode?
It was the one I wanted to know more about.
It was the most compelling storyline in the episode. And it
was still so milquetoast that I got...
And can we...
So dumb.
So, all right, so I know you've just ranted, but can I Kayla's Feminism Corner for a second?
Sure, go for it.
So, when your son is sleeping around and you don't like it...
Don't slut-shame the girlfriend.
You go to the new girlfriend and tell her, think about it. The man upstairs is watching you. This is not how you handle this. Maybe if she was your daughter, it would be okay. Like, if she was dating a guy who had been sleeping around.
Yeah.
Even though he would be the one who would be pressuring her to move faster, and it still wouldn't really be her fault. But this is not
because,
your child. Like, why?
Right. In traditional nonsense, the woman is the one who is the arbiter, is the gatekeeper, right? The man in the relationship is always the one trying to storm the Bastille of her nether regions.
Yeah, the boys will be boys. You
can't stop the boys. You got to go with the girls. She's got to be the strong one. She's got to, put a lock on it till he puts a ring on it.
On Kayla's Feminism Corner. It's really great to have you in my corner.
Well, it's wonderful being a guest. Thank you for having me as a guest to Kayla's Feminism Corner.
Yeah, I have another topic of discussion in Kayla's Feminism Corner, and that is the goth girl and unibrow boy storyline, which is basically she is mad at him for not calling her after she called him last, which I think is kind of valid.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And they go through this whole, it's like, I think it's supposed to be presented like a misunderstanding. Like, well, I thought you would call me, but I thought you would call me. And like, why are you mad and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That, I couldn't buy that, really. It just didn't.
Right. Especially since, I wrote this down, they have, like, despite their very obvious emotional immaturity, they have flashes of emotional insight that are completely incongruous to the rest of their behavior.
Yeah.
So, like,
okay.
there's a point where they're like, sorry to jump in, but like, there's a point where she's like, I just don't know why you didn't call me, and then he's like, I don't understand why I'm okay with you not calling me, but you're not okay with me calling you. And then he's like, I think you're just afraid. And in the end, everybody gets afraid sometimes, or afraid of rejection, and that's okay because everybody's afraid of rejection. And it's just like, what? That was like, why are you being so obvious about that? I mean, like,
yeah,
this isn't Psychology Corner. Like, let her figure stuff out.
Yeah, and she's the smart one. So they're like in the stands at the baseball game, and she's, talking about how, like, the girl is flirting and the boy is a display of masculinity, whatever.
Acting out the mammalian agenda.
And using, like, very big words for a 12-year-old, which I'm sure she is. She's supposed to be playing a 16-year-old. I think she actually was, in real life, a 16-year-old.
How old were you in 2005?
How old was I in 2005?
Yes.
I was, 2015 right now? Oh, that was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 17.
So she's 16, because we figured out on the train that the actress is a year younger than you.
Yeah, so she's 16, but the problem I have is that she looks 12.
Is that she's a tiny little person.
She has a baby face, and she is 2 feet shorter than everyone in that high school. Everyone is making out in that high school.
Well, and I think partially it's because all of the actors playing high schoolers are 27 years old.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean people are making out because they're 27. It just means, like, the high school is flooded with PDA. Who went to high schools like this? On Valentine's Day at my high school was a bunch of awkward kids walking around going, I feel like I'm supposed to be in a relationship, but I kind of have anxiety, so... But anyway, so yeah, she's like, he's asking, I don't know, she's supposed to be this character who's like, she's lost the romance, but she's actually making, like, good observations. She's basically saying, like, this is not romance. This is totally fake and not at all, like, genuine
it's true,
in
yeah.
any way. And I'm like, well, that's a good observation.
Uh-huh. She says, this isn't romantic. And he's like, well, they were flirting. I think that's kind of romantic. That's not romantic. Flirting isn't romantic.
Yeah. And I did not jive with the idea that she just needs to lighten up and, like, give in to the romance,
Right,
and because it was a little bit like she's being too feminist and she needs to be more girly. It was a little, did it feel like that to you? Yeah,
a little bit. Although I think it kind of redeemed itself a little bit at the end when she's on the phone with him, and she sets the boundaries and she sets the tone. She's like, listen, I think I just need some time from you, and I need to be apart from you to get my head correct,
no,
like within myself.
Does she say that? I don't think she says
does.
that.
Yeah, she does. She says, I don't think I can be near you right now, and I just need some time away from you. And then he says, but I'm at the door, just a minute. And so she lets him in, he hands her flowers, and then he leaves. He acquiesces to her desire to be apart. And so he leaves, doesn't stay.
And she does sell her roses for $100.
She sells the roses for $100. Which
is good.
And I'm like,
yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Yep.
You're right.
And now, when you do reach an emotionally good place, you can take that boy out to a great meal and you can pay.
And no one will care.
No one will care because
no one needs to care.
Exactly.
Thank you again for joining me at Kayla's Feminism Corner.
Thank you for having me on.
Good. So, other things we hated. Let's talk for a second about how he was going to a French bakery called Frenchie's.
I know, right? Frenchie's, the French bistro.
No, it's French bakery. Because I remember the line prior to that, when he was explaining to someone what he was going to do for Valentine's Day, he was like, I'm going to get a picnic basket at that French bakery. And I was thinking, like, whoever says that French bakery, is there a bakery in your town that you're like, I'm not going to go to the other bakery, that American bakery. I'm going to go to the French bakery. I just thought that was weird. And then he went to the French bakery, and it says Frenchies. There's a French flag, and it says the French bakery.
Right, which is why but like on that sign, it's like they keep saying the French bakery, but on the sign it says Frenchie's French Bistro.
No, it says bakery, I swear. I'm going to look it up.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up too. But yes, and that was super dumb. And his plan B was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with chips in it.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cute, actually.
I didn't. I hate it. And maybe it's coming from a perspective of someone who can actually cook, but it's like
like zero effort.
If you're gonna take out if you're gonna take out the bread, take out the peanut butter, take out the jelly, take out the chips, get a knife, do the whole thing. That however long that takes, you can add an extra 20 minutes on there and make something good.
Toast them. If you make fancy ones,
use artisanal jelly.
Use jelly made of the finest, the finest
Frenchmen
kumquats from the finest French caves. Okay, so I am at 34:26 on the YouTube. By the way, we watched this on YouTube. It's on YouTube because no one cares about losing money on this episode by people downloading it instead of getting it from Amazon, because no one cares about this show anymore.
Right.
And I'm watching He's at the Bakery.
Okay. I'm looking.
You can't get in. Oh, no.
I see it. You're right. It is French Bakery. Frenchie's French Bakery.
Frenchie's French Bakery.
I saw the stylized B, and then, yep, you're right.
Yeah. Eiffel
you're
Tower,
right.
The whole nine.
It makes even less sense. French bakery. If you're gonna say French bakery, at least use the actual French word and just put it on a flag, and then everyone will know. Put bread in the window. It's not hard. French bakery.
Wait, is bistro French for bakery?
No. Boulangerie.
Oh. No. I think in this all-American town, people would be like, that's communist. Like, are there accents on that word? That's communist. And then they wouldn't go to that bakery anymore.
Yep.
Okay.
That A's wearing a weird hat. Kill it. What? Speaking of this weird American town, where are they supposed to be?
What is it called? Glen Oaks? Is that the name?
It's Glen Oaks, but where is that supposed to be in America?
I don't know. Let's see.
Because it's February and people are wearing shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah, but they're also wearing jackets. Like, they're hanging out outside, but, like, some of them are wearing jackets, and some of them are wearing, gardening aprons? One of the dancers in the outside dance scene. Also, let's talk about that outside dance scene for a second. There was, like, a old lady that was
dancing
like,
with a dude. No less than 3 interracial dancing couples, which I thought was very progressive. And, interage dancing couple. All the while, a mother sings a very conservative songs about sex with a woman she's never met.
Ay. Okay, Glen Oak is actually set in California. It is a fictional town.
Okay. I guess that would make sense then.
I'm not sure why, Goth Girl, when she's at the baseball practice, she's wearing, a scarf and a jacket, and I think she might even have, leg warmers on.
Oh, man.
Everyone else is, practicing baseball in baseball uniforms, which is also, that doesn't happen. No one practices basebot
exactly. Nobody suits up for practice.
And all of those baseball players were 30 years old. Pot-bellied old guys.
Yeah.
I got, the C team dancers for this.
Right, for sure.
But that was the best scene. That's the sad part. When before we even had started this podcast, even with our very first episode, I, for some reason, came across that scene, Accentuate the Positive, and I was like, oh, this is so bad. It'll be really fun to review. But I didn't realize that was the highlight.
Yeah. It's rough, everybody. It's real rough. And another not continuity error, but like research error. It's the unibrow comes to Goth
Thank you
Girl's
for
house.
embracing my naming conventions.
No problem. I don't know his real name, so I'm going to choose that one. He comes and he's like, I picked these roses from my mama's rose bush. Roses don't bloom until late April, you moron.
I don't know. It's California. I thought that was really funny because it was like, we have to give an explanation for how he gets roses because we went through.
Right.
We literally watched Thugface Cop
McGee.
Man.
Yeah.
Thumb through the phone book.
The phone book. When I saw the phone book, I was like, oh, man, phone
He's
book.
like,
Early
I gotta
2000s.
get roses. Thumbs through a phone book, finds a rose shop, calls them, finds out they don't have roses.
Calls three rose shops.
Hangs up, calls another one, finds out they don't have roses. Later we get to him again, and we're still on him calling to get the roses. Why? Why did we spend so much time on that?
Right.
Why?
And like the third call, he's like, you don't have roses? Do you have yellow roses? Do you have white roses? What about pink roses? Any kind of roses? Do you have a flower that looks like a rose? Do you got a red rose? Any flowers at all?
Flowers? At all?
Oh, so stupid.
You don't have flowers? Why didn't you just tell me in the first place that you didn't have flowers when I asked if you had roses?
And his whole conversation with his captain or whatever was just
my gosh,
painful.
That captain needs to not be on TV.
Yeah. Well, he's like, when I was married, I'm divorced now, but you should still take my advice. Learn from my mistakes, youngin'. Like, you better... Well, I'm glad we had this great argument right now because now you won't have to go home and have it with your wife.
And then get divorced like me. Remind you again, I'm divorced.
It was so bad. It's like, you're not going home empty-handed, are you? It's like, I got her a baby in the house. I'm like, you did not get her a baby. This is a very
she puts that on him
90-10.
too. Like she tries to use that as a way to blame him for going back to work.
It's like, you did this to me. You put this spawn in me.
Yeah, who talks about their kid that way after they're born? Like I feel like that's a trope. Yes, when women are like giving birth, like you did this to me.
Right. When they're in birth, that's a very
trope,
tropey
but
thing.
it's it's fine. It's whatever.
Right.
You don't get to
But
use that as an
afterwards-
excuse later.
Right.
It's
For
both
this
of
child
your
that we never see. We never see this child.
or hear nothing
Or
about
hear anything.
And Lucy just gets to leave. So they live in the apartment above the garage in their parents' home. So Lucy just gets to leave her baby just up there, just whenever. Like, I guess the baby sleeps all the time or something because she gets to go, I'm going to make cupcakes now. I'm going to talk to my mom about her marital problems now.
Right. And then later on, she's like, well, whose fault is it that I haven't seen the house? It's your fault for giving me this baby. And like, you leaving the baby super far away, put the baby in a car and go drive to the house.
And also, your parents live downstairs.
Right.
Give them the baby. And I found out that actually the house is next door.
Really?
Maybe something happens where the house that they've bought and paid off already, I don't know how they did that, falls through, maybe, but I know that they end up living next door to their parents.
I want to punch every single thing about this show in whatever it uses for what it calls creativity.
I know. Okay, so we've been jumping around and I've loved it. I do want to talk about each of the songs individually, so
okay,
we might
go for it.
Do you have other plot points that you want to cover?
Not real. I mean, like, I've got 3 pages of notes.
Yeah, is there anything in particular that you want to point out?
Let me look. Unibrow's shirt is awful in that baseball scene.
Yeah, Unibrow's shirt is terrible. And then later, I feel like we get I feel like other boys
it's
are wearing
it's a parade of fashion from the 2000s, from the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's kind of believable fashion though, because like
Yeah.
I remember the boy that Goth Girl says, "Oh, you're gonna be my pretend Valentine boyfriend to make this unibrow jealous." His hair,
I know, right?
just like in a spiky lion mane around his entire head, like crowning his whole
Right?
face.
It just goes like straight up and out, like parallel with the top of his head.
But I feel like I knew boys that wore that exact hairstyle at that time. That was cool. That was really cool.
Yeah, I don't have anything important. Let's move on to the songs.
So, we talked a little bit about the first song, "Love Is Sweeping the Country." Real bad, real slow. And then the next song is Goth Girl singing "Nice Work If You Can Get It" and dancing in what I imagine is supposed to be a seductive manner in the high school, just kind of shaking her hips a lot in a very like,
it feels
mechanical way.
Yeah. I mean, it's poorly done for sure, but it feels like even if it was done well, it seems inappropriate for the setting.
Yeah.
And for the song. Like, I mean, I know it's supposed to be a jazzy number, singing it while wearing a slinky red dress lying on top of a piano type of a song.
Yeah, she's also 16 and like...
Right.
Is worried about her
school.
boyfriend not calling her. Yeah, in a school where everyone around her is having an orgy, but like it's like,
yeah,
it's very, very, you're right, out of place. And she talk about affectation on your singing.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, really, really playing up that jazzy.
She could maybe sound good if she didn't do that, but no one was there to tell her don't sound like that.
Right.
No one was there to tell her like it's okay if you just sing, it's fine. Okay, the next song is "You Were Meant for Me" by Shovelface Cop Man Boy.
Oh gosh, that was so bad.
This was the low point.
It hurt my heart for him.
But also, I wanted to fall asleep, so it wasn't like I couldn't laugh through it because I wanted to walk away and do something more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I couldn't laugh because I literally felt bad for him.
Yeah, it went on so long.
Yeah, it's like watching a car crash.
But the thing is, like, the melody is in the accompaniment.
Right.
He was nowhere near it ever.
Yeah, Laura and I were having this discussion.
Okay.
Like, we were talking about whether, I mean, like, the actual affliction or genetic whatever of tone deafness, it is a thing, but it's also incredibly rare. People use it all the time as saying, "Oh, I can't sing, I'm tone deaf." Uh-huh. It's like, no, you're not tone deaf, because that is as rare as having perfect pitch. I mean, like, it's a literal thing in your brain that's different, and it's very, very rare. Mm-hmm. But what you have is a lack of practice, or care, or just whatever.
Or an untrained ear.
Untrained ear. Tone inside your throat is, and inside your mouth is all dependent on your body and your mouth shape, and you can change your mouth shape to an extent with practice to get the right tone, to get the tone that you want. But, for a certain amount, it's genetic. But hitting the right notes 90% of the time, probably even more than that, it's just a question of practice. And I just don't think they did. They just had a bad musical director.
Well, they had no
one. They didn't hire a voice coach.
No one coaching him through this. Very clearly, either a non-musician or just nobody coaching him through. And then at the end, he does kind of, sort of, like, it's the climax, whatever, and he's supposed to and like hit higher notes, and he sings louder. That happens, and he sings higher.
So at least he learned about dynamics. They covered day one was dynamics, and it should have been pitch. But
yeah, well, day one was dynamics, but it was just loud and soft. It was not because throughout before that final 3 notes or whatever, it's
monotone. Yeah,
but it's like very soft, and it's very, I'm gonna shuffle around, and I'm sorry about this.
He goes. Oh No, he goes from scared high schooler to Whitney Houston in 2 notes.
No, to bad Whitney Houston impersonator at a karaoke
That's true.
bar at 3M.
He goes from shy high schooler to drunk high schooler at a karaoke bar singing a Whitney Houston song.
Yeah. So that song was "You Are My Lucky Star," and the girl making the faces. I don't know why they kept cutting back to her. Just like, oh, you.
Was that? I
faces.
thought "You Are My Lucky Star" was the one that was "You Were Made for Me."
Oh, you're right. You're right.
"You Are My Lucky Star" was the dad singing to a picture of his wife and dancing with it,
which would be cool. Not cool, but what could work for like one line of the song.
Right.
Only one line of the song. Pick it up.
Yeah, pick it up, do a twirl, do a dip, set it back down.
Then dance or whatever you're going to do. But no. Because she's not there, we have to sing the entire... Oh, the stage direction was just... And like,
so bad. I mean, seriously, it would have been easy. It would have been easy and just like off the top of my head, what they could have done is had various items of obvious significance to their relationship strewn about his office, which if he'd been in that office for a long time, they've been married for a long time, that's going to happen, right? You're going to have pieces of each other in your places of most frequented residence,
yeah,
right?
Sure. Something, to like pull focus in different places and not just like keep it on this one place. But I feel like it's a cardinal sin of this show is that, or of this episode anyway, the cinematography did that too. It was all like still shots, straight on framing, like
super close.
Yeah, really close. Not much context, not any artfulness attempted at all.
Right.
And which is, maybe what kind of contributed it to making it so boring instead of funny, because I feel like we get into bad funny when people take risks and fail horribly, but they didn't take any risks. Maybe that's the thing.
Exactly.
That's what it was. It was so safe with really bad ideas. And so it was boring and bad. And that's, we tapped the code. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then we go to the baseball field. Accentuate the positive happens. We talked a little about this already.
Yeah. I thought it was fine. The affectation on the guy's voice was a little bit crazy.
Oh, his dancing was so horrible, though. It was so
really
awkward.
bad. It was really, really awkward. I mean, this is like, man, I don't even know. This is like a middle school dance, and it's like every single one of these dances is like a middle school dance in rural Nebraska. I mean, like it is as white bread as you can get, and it's also as like poor music choice. It is timid people who have clearly never danced before and just had some person who did the choreography, whoever it was someone's cousin who did choreography for one show,
like in
one
community
high school,
theater.
like in community theater. It's so bad. So it's a untrained person teaching a non-trained person how to do this thing that they have come up with in probably a very short amount of time. The entire thing is just a train wreck inside of a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Like it was failed before it started.
Yeah, which is why I wonder how many people this had to pass through and who those people are. But we can get to that later. So then, after Accentuate the Positive, we get the man upstairs with interracial couples, which are very much in the background. So, yeah, the whitewashing of the show continues. Slut-shaming, all the things. And then we get a Love is Sweeping the Country reprise. And can we talk about how the line given to the like 4-year-old twins is all the sexes
from Maine to Texas. My goodness.
Why was that the line given to them? Whose idea was that?
Yeah.
So awkward. Okay, so I've got a quiz. I've got some YouTube quotes. What do you think we should do?
Give me the quiz.
All right. It's not a very long quiz. There's not a lot of info on Seventh Heaven, presumably because the fan base is null. I did find some fans in the YouTube comments, however, so we'll get to that. So my first question, I'm sure you could tell, or you looked up, or you knew that one or more of these songs is by George and Ira Gershwin.
Yes.
My question is, how many songs were by George and Ira Gershwin?
I'm going to say 3.
You are close. It's 2.
It's the jazzy numbers?
Name which... Yeah, can you guess which ones?
Love is Easy If You Can Get It, or whatever that one was.
Well, that's putting two together. Are you talking about Love is Sweeping the Country or Nice Work If You Can Get It?
Nice Work If You Can Get It.
Nice Work If You Can Get It. Okay, that's one of them. You're right.
And then Accentuate the Positive?
No. The other one was Love is Sweeping the Country, actually.
Really?
The first two numbers were George and I.
Which made famous by Ella Fitzgerald, which I kind of want to listen to that one instead. Yeah. And just kind of see how it really sounds.
Okay. How about this? Well, I'll ask this first. What other show does Unibrow star in?
Heroes.
Is that true? I have a different show.
Oh, he plays Claire's gay best friend in the first season.
Oh, okay.
He's the one who takes the video of her falling off the oil rig.
Okay. Could you guess the other show that I have here?
Is it another WB show?
I don't know.
Or CW show?
I don't know. It is a remake of an famous 80s movie.
Movie?
Yeah.
A TV show that's a remake of a famous 80s movie. I don't know.
Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Oh, with Summer Glau.
Yeah, he plays John Connor.
Oh, I bet he was terrible.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe he was good. People in the YouTube comments were like, "Oh, I'm so glad that they like watched his scene in Seventh Heaven to like be like, oh, that's so funny. Mm-hmm. He used to be bad." So I don't know. Is he good now? Was he good in Heroes?
He was fine. I mean, nothing special.
Oh. Okay. Next question. What well-known actress wrote the episode?
Martha Plimpton from The Goonies and most recently Raising Hope.
Yep. Who I found out have a musical episode.
Raising Hope does?
Yeah.
Also, this was her only writing credit.
Yes!
Which is obvious and understandable.
I mean, that she wouldn't have anything after this. What possessed? I just want to talk to her about that. Mm-hmm. Why? If she felt good about it or if it was a joke.
Yeah, I don't know. I like her in Raising Hope. She's really funny.
Yeah, I like her whenever she guest stars in anything else. I have this fantasy in my head that she was up for the part of the mom and she didn't get it, and so she was really jealous. She harbored that jealousy for 9 years while she wrote this horrible plot. And
she's like, suck it, guys. Do this terrible thing.
Yes. And then she got her revenge. So good for you, Martha. That was a long game you were playing there. And my last question is, why did the network approve this? And I genuinely want you to tell me because I don't know.
Well, it was 2005, so it can't be cocaine. 2005, I'm going to guess methamphetamines.
Yeah, that is a valid
and also
guess.
probably they hearing that they didn't have anything else make it past the first season, they probably just didn't have a whole lot of other stuff. They're probably trying to capture a very specific demographic, and apparently worked.
I wonder if they saw some other show do a musical episode, and they were like, that's a good idea.
Oh, you mean specifically the musical episode, not the...
No, not the show. Yeah, why did the network approve this musical episode? Not the show. I understand why because the show is pandering, and people are into pandering, things that pander them. Have you seen Big Bang Theory?
Oh, for sure. Gosh, I hate that show.
So, yeah, why did the network approve this? You think because they saw Twilight and they were like...
Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like that was not super widely seen. I mean, it was seen by fans of the show, but it wasn't like... It didn't, like, draw a lot of viewers.
It was 4 years before. It was 2001. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean... It's when anybody talks about a musical episode of a show, that is the one that they hold up as the end-all, be-all of musical episodes. It's got a 9.7 on IMDb. Mm-hmm. And I want to say that one was the quintessential musical episode until probably Scrubs. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's not like they were popular. It's not like they popped up in every single show in the early 2000s, and we didn't get the resurgence of musicals popularity until Glee in like 2006?
Yeah,
2007?
I don't know. Maybe they just maybe they just were like, we don't know what to do. Sure. You know, like someone pitched it to them and they were like,
I want to say,
yeah, fine.
Because here's my little fantasy. Here's my little fantasy.
All right.
The dad, the actor's like, I want to sing. I want to dance. We should do a musical episode. And so he pitches it to the people, and they're like, not really. None of us can sing, and you really can't either that much. And he's like, nah, we can do it, guys. Let's go. And then he fist pumps the air, and they're all like, fine, whatever. We're getting paid $10,000 an episode, or $50,000 an episode, or whatever nonsense it is by season 9. And so then they do it, and they're like, boom, another $50,000 in my bank account.
Yeah. I don't know where Martha Plimpton came in on that, but yeah, I buy that.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, you want my YouTube quotes? Yeah, YouTube.
Yes, I do. I do want those YouTube quotes.
All right. Captain Hayfever says, Ruthie, who is the goth girl.
Yep.
Ruthie's little speech at the beginning is like Bones mixed with River Tam, but with all the talent drained out. I don't know what speech he's talking about, but...
the one at the beginning where she's like, love Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I don't see Bones and River Tam in that, but okay. Is everything okay? I feel like there's talking behind you.
Oh, you remember the people with the loudspeakers selling vegetables on the street?
That's what that is?
Mm-hmm. They're walking by.
That never happened when I was there.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Wow.
They drive by in these little trucks, and it'll be a speaker, and it's just like, Gogama, Sachanan, Gogama, Sachanan, which is basically just sweet potatoes, 4,001.
It's like the ice cream man, except
Everyone
boring
hates them.
and adult.
Yep.
Okay, Zephron Obsessed says, I don't care what people say. This is by far the cutest thing ever on Seventh Heaven. Vincent, who is Unibrow, is so cute. Some people say he looks gay, but personally, I think he is very cute. I know all of the lyrics to this song, and they rock. I also like to act this out with my friends, obviously without the kissing part. Ha ha. I know all the choreography, too. Faves, deaf.
When was that put out?
I think it was like 8
When was
years
that
ago.
written?
A lot of these comments are like 9 years old, I swear. Isn't that nuts?
It's crazy.
Lulz says, so who was coma dreaming this?
That's fantastic.
Lulz, you gave me some lulz. Peaches 1300 says, hey, I've always loved this show. Admittedly, they struck out, LOL pun intended, with this episode, but this show taught me so many life lessons, even before I was ready to learn them, and Mackenzie Rosman is an excellent actress, whereas Darlene was always the same monotone dumbass that she still is in The Big Bang Theory. They compare her to Darlene from Roseanne a lot. But then she says, P.S., this episode is better in black and white.
What? because it feels super old and thereby like has an excuse for being terrible?
I don't know if she has watched it in black and white somehow. Like what?
In reality, she is 50 years old and has a black and white television, and that's the only way she can watch TV shows.
Devlin Adams says, I am sorry, but that was the most cheesiest episode I've ever saw. And then there's a lot of exclamation points. The only person who could really sing is, Steve Collins. That's the dad. Yeah. Otherwise, this
chameleon.
This episode would have been done justice, by Sesame Street.
I am going to forgive the double superlative just because I agree with his sentiment. Or her sentiment.
That would have been done better by Sesame Street?
Yep.
All right. I thought that would make you laugh, but it made you agree, which is strange to me. Do I know you anymore?
Count it.
Okay. About Goth Girl, Lexi Wexy says, she moves like poop. Also about Goth Girl, Viacasi says, she is an angel on the earth. very polarizing dancing performance
exactly.
by Goth Girl. And then last but not least, we get there was a big argument in the comment section about like who was dubbed and stuff, if these people were actually their singing voices, which, okay, people, the indication of if it's actually their singing voices is, does it sound good or does it sound bad? If it sounds bad, it's actually their singing voice. It doesn't matter how much they look like they're lip syncing. They're lip syncing to their own singing voice.
Right, exactly. They are absolutely dubbed. It's just still their voice.
Exactly. People don't get that. But anyway, AF2108 says, you guys are retarded. Ruthie is not singing. This is, in fact, a track of the great Peggy Lee singing.
I hope that is a true comment and not like a troll, and not a comment troll.
I definitely think it's true. Everyone was really, really genuine in these comments.
Oh, man.
This was before it was like a thing for YouTube comments to be bad, because this was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's my YouTube comments.
Oh, man.
What do we gotta do? Should we do whatever you do it. You do it right. Dance report.
Oh, sorry. Dance report.
Yeah.
Jazz.
That was really what it was. It was a stumbling. It sounded like my intro to Dance Report. It was a stumbling, bumbling, falling on your face, tapping on the wall and not the floor, and falling all over yourself, dancing spectacle. That is what the dancing was in this episode.
It was like if Christopher Guest had redone Waiting for Guffman, but also didn't care about the comedy of it. It feels like community theater that was intentionally created to be bad, but also poorly intentionally created to be bad, to the point where it's not funny or satirical.
Yes. I have seen high school productions of The Sound of Music that were better than this episode of professional television on a network.
Oh, absolutely. I've seen high school productions of friggin' Oklahoma that were better than this, and I hate Oklahoma.
When I take you out in the Missouri with a friend.
I was just about to say, then it didn't matter what the next thing you were going to say did not matter. My next words were going to be, and fringe with a Surrey or Surrey with a fringe on top can suck it, because it's the worst.
Chicks and ducks and geese that scurry. When I take you out in the Surrey with me.
I hate that musical so much. Boring musical, boring state.
No.
It's
Oklahoma, Oklahoma. Yeah, many things that we have seen are better than what this is. Even things that you would look at and say, that's bad. They're better than what this is.
The Big Bang Theory, or 2.5 Men, or anything that Jim Belushi has ever done. Still better than this, despite what seems to be enormous effort to the contrary. This was very, very bad.
I don't think people quite understand, Josh, if they're listening, that we think this episode was not the greatest episode of TV. I don't think we are driving that point home quite enough. We need to land a little bit harder on that.
Okay, well, maybe the fact that we talked about 9 other specific things than this episode, I mean, like, 9 separate things other than this episode would help. Yes. Maybe because we had, I think, 0 positive things to say about it.
Yes. Can we think of a positive thing? Was there a positive thing? It ended.
That's good. That's a good one.
That was the ending.
That's a good
where they all
one.
stopped singing. That was awesome. Well done.
That's my favorite part. Good
Very
job.
Well done. Yeah. And then when it was with the
they
people
said
who when
those cupcakes look good. I mean, I don't like cupcakes, but for someone who likes cupcakes, They might have been good.
And I watched it with the beginning of it with you on a train in Korea. And
that's true.
We both looked at each other and said, what are we putting ourselves through? And we bonded. Yep. So
we did.
So that's
good. Good for you.
Good for
TV show.
Bringing people together.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Good
job.
Very good.
Good job. I think that's worth a 3 on IMDb.
It brings people together. People who previously had liked the show and people who previously had hated the show. They come together on this episode. Unless they are Via Casey, who thinks that the goth girl is an angel on the earth. Who could make it?
No one. No one ever. Not
even the backup dancers. They
Not
were all
even
bad.
The backup dancers.
Everyone was bad. Don't do it, people. Don't ever try again.
Stop it.
Do you know what I learned? I learned that the girl who plays Lucy, complainy wife, I'm a mother now and you put this spawn in me lady,
right,
can sing apparently.
What?
Why didn't they give her a song?
For the same reason they didn't give Broadway guy in Fringe a song. It didn't fit with the plot?
It made
because
too
this
much
thing was
sense.
Created to be bad? I don't know. That's the worst. Ugh. Because they probably did. I bet they recorded it. And they put it all together and they're like, oh, in comparison, it makes all of these other things sound way worse.
Yeah.
If we remove this, now they all sound the same worse. It's a little bit better.
Yeah, I hope that's what it was. I actually have a feeling that she's not very good either. But people just kind of say that because they're like, if only they had made this one change, then it would have been great.
Right. And it's not like, I'm assuming it's not like things that are saying, oh, she can actually sing. She was in this show and this show and this show and this show and sang in this. Yeah. She has a degree from the Nashville School of Tricks and Magical Illusions of Singing, and she did this and this and this. I'm assuming it's probably just like a couple people are like, yeah, she sang Happy Birthday, Mr. President, and it was on YouTube, and I saw it, and it was okay.
Yeah, I'm looking her up. Her name is Beverly Mitchell.
Yes, and this is the only thing she was in.
She was in a Disney Channel original movie about drag racing, thank you very much.
What?
That was one of the first times I ever saw something and said, I turned to my dad and I was like, she's a bad actress. And he was like, yes, very good. Because up until that point, I hadn't been able to make that distinction between good actors and bad actors. Okay, Lucy singing to the twins. I'm going to listen to this.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay, this is happening. Have you ever hugged an angel?
Yeah. Yep.
Was it
done that once?
Was it like cold?
No. It was really weird. Like it felt like I was on mushrooms because I was on mushrooms.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so this is a country song that was evidently in an episode. This is so weird. This show is bonkers crazy. There's nothing redeeming. I'm just gonna say that show.
Don't you know that you're my hero?
This show should have never existed. That's what I'm gonna go ahead and say. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. It's really terrible. You don't need to apologize. If people like this show, that's their problem. That's on them.
Yeah, the burden of proof is on you. If you like this show, the burden of proof is on you. So convince the non-believers. It was a funny evangelism joke.
I got it.
Thank you. Convince the non-believers that the onus is
Positate
on you.
the negative.
Great. So no one could make it. Everyone should just quit.
Mm-hmm. Really,
and
truthfully.
That's what we got to say about that. Do we want to? Is there anything else you want to say?
No.
All right, let's plug.
All right, cool.
Plug in along. Plug in the bugs with the pugs.
Yeah, you can find us at podcastmusical.com, which is you can listen to the archives of our stuff, or you can find us on iTunes. Just search for Podcast the Musical. It should be on the first page, but just go scroll down a little bit.
I don't think it is. On iTunes, you can't.
Oh, I mean, like, you have to hit more. You have to hit more, but then it's on the first page
search.
of more.
You gotta dig and search. Sorry.
Yeah. Or you can just go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/podcastmusical, and you can find the links there. Or we have the iTunes link on our website, podcastmusical.com. Follow us on Twitter at podcastmusical.
You're so good at that, at knowing.
Follow...
I'm so impressed.
You can follow me on Instagram. I'm Josh Rhodes. I post cute pictures with my baby. You can follow me on Twitter at Joshua_Rhodes. Don't bother. I never post anything. I just use it for lurking. Kayla, where can we find you?
Find me on Twitter at VixKayla. On Instagram, KaylaVix. On Snapchat, something about me, my first name and my last name are probably involved in there. I was trying to convince Josh that Snapchat is like a thing for like people besides horny teenagers these days, but he was not convinced.
I mean, it's an interesting gimmick, but it serves me well enough. Like on Instagram,
yeah.
The aspect of the picture disappearing to me is
it's annoying.
Annoying. It seems like the only purpose for that would be in case you wanted to post sensitive pictures and not have them last.
Even though they can be easily screenshot and
right, exactly. So, sure, exactly.
So watch out for that, all you horny teenagers listening to this podcast.
Yep.
That's pretty much our plugs.
The next episode that we record should be practically lag-free because I will be in Kansas because I am moving back to America exactly 1 week from Thursday.
You want to know? There will still be lag.
Well,
there will most
blame
certainly
AT&T. Blame AT&T.
Hey everybody, it's Kayla just coming in to let you know that the next episode that we reviewed was from Supernatural, which is available on Netflix. And this is a special Halloween episode of Podcast the Musical, so it's going to be coming out in about 4 days. So if you want to catch the episode of Supernatural on Netflix, it's season 10, episode 5, and it's called Fan Fiction. Watch that, or don't, before you listen to our episode, and we'll talk about it then. So this time, we just talked about the negative. So we just accentuate the negative. Eliminate anything that's good, which wasn't even there in the first place. And we
suck at Seventh Heaven.
Seventh Heaven is a bad show.
You shouldn't be alive. Not the people, the show.
Oh yeah, the people we don't want. We don't wish.
I don't advocate murder based on art.
Bye.
Bye.